Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today I wanted to show a card that I designed for a craft group that I belong to, that I demonstrated this month in November. It's called a pillar card. I have seen other variations of these on the internet, but I wanted to make sure that it fitted out of half a sheet of A4, so I worked the measurements out. If I've accidentally copied anybody else's, then apologies. Okay, so this is one that I made using the Very Cute stamp set. You've got the stamped and punched bear, and I've used the trees and the snowflakes and the greeting from there. And the card opens up to create that pillar shape. It folds flat for postage. Obviously, do be aware that if you're putting these in the Royal Mail, make sure they fit through, or whichever country you're in the post, make sure they fit into your recommended letter size, and that the recipient doesn't get a lovely Christmas card and a nasty bill at the other end. Okay, so as I said, this one's made with the Very Cute stamp set, and I'm going to show you one today using a couple of different stamp sets. So let's get started. All right, I'm just going to put this card to one side. The first thing we need to do is cut a piece of cardstock. So I've got a piece of Mossy Meadow here. This is a UK A4 sheet. If you're in a different country, whichever your paper is will work. Okay, and we're going to cut this in half down the length of the cardstock. So we're cutting it at 10.5 centimetres on the UK A4. I'm just going to put my trimmer out of the way, although I will need it again in just a second. Okay, right, the next thing we're going to do some scoring to make that pillar. As I said, this will fit into a standard C6 envelope. Let me just, sorry about that, I'm just going to put my light on. It's starting to get dark here in the UK. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to score at 1 centimetre. So that's 1 centimetre. Hopefully you can, I'm just going to adjust my phone back a little bit. Okay, hopefully you can see that. At 1 centimetre, at 5.5 centimetres, at 10 centimetres, and at 14.5 centimetres. And that will give us the panels for our pillar. So hopefully you can see that. We've got 1, 2, 3 panels, and obviously the card makes the 4th one. Now this 1 centimetre score that we did on the end here, that's going to make our tab, so to join everything together. So I'm just going to bring in my bone folder, and I'm going to just give those creases a burnish so they fold nice and neatly when we want to put the card together. Okay, so that's that. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my snips, and this 1 centimetre strip here at the end, I'm just going to take the corners off that. So I'm just cutting from the score line diagonally across, and I find that when we come to put things together, that gives a neater finish, because you haven't got 2 bits of cardstock coming together. It just gives a neater finish. Okay, now what we need to do now is to make the decorative piece of the card. So I'm just going to pop this to one side, and I'm bringing in a piece of cardstock that I've already cut. So this is slightly narrower. This is cut at 10 centimetres, or it will be in a minute. No, not 10.5, 10. So it's just slightly smaller than the width of the card. So that's cut at 10 centimetres, and the length of it is 22.5. So I'm just going to check that. Yeah, 22.5 centimetres. And the reason we're making the decorative sections all in one is to make sure we get a continuous picture. Okay, so I've bought in the Fragrant Forest stamp set. Now this stamp set is obviously too large to stamp across that panel, but there's no problems with that. We can just use a section of it. Okay, sorry, I'm just bringing in a piece of scrap so I don't get ink all over my grid paper, which is laminated, and I've just cleaned it. Okay, let's just pop those snips out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to grab my Mossy Meadow ink. Now this is a really lovely stamp set, or stamp. It's not a set, it is a stamp. Okay, it's a very large stamp. Just need to make sure you've got it up the right way, because that isn't. Can you see that? That's the wrong way up. So you just need to make sure you've got the tops of your trees pointing upwards. You can mount it on a block if you want to. You do need a large block to do this. What have I done with my blocks? Pardon me, I've just tidied my craft room up. And now I can't find anything. When it's a mess, I always know where things are. Okay, so what we're going to do is stick this on. So it's a red rubber stamp, and it's a cling mount. So it's got its label on the back, and I'm just going to stamp it. Right, so the easiest way is to ink it up with it laying down on a flat surface, because you want to make sure you get a thorough ink. And you might be wondering why I'm inking the whole stamp. It's just habit. Okay, and what we want to do, we want to stamp along our piece of cardstock. So the one thing you have to watch on this is that there is a lip, bottom and top, on this stamp set, and the sides. So you want to try and avoid that, otherwise you'll end up with a white mark. So what I'm going to do is start with, and I'm just eyeballing it, I'm going to start with the bottom of the stamp. Hopefully, yeah, no, you see I've missed that, and I've got the white line. It doesn't matter, we can sort that out. And then ideally probably a stamping platform, but let's try and get rid of that white line this time. It won't matter because we're going to cut this panel up. Okay, so we've got it there. Okay, now I would have preferred not to have that gap in the middle, and I haven't actually got all of the tree there, so I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to give that another go, so you can see even seasoned stampers get it wrong. So let's give it another go on this side. If we get it wrong this time, then we'll have to get another piece of cardstock in. So this time I'm overlapping the bottom of the cardstock, and then hopefully we should get that right. And I don't know why that one in the middle wasn't very happy, but okay, let's have a go. So we'll go off the edge, and it was a stamp about there, a tree about there that didn't want to stamp. Okay, hopefully that's enough of a press. It's still not getting that one, is it? Okay, we can live with that. So let's ink it up again. And then so I'm overlapping the bottom of the cardstock to avoid that, and I need to overlap my stamp to avoid that white mark down the middle. It's that tree there that doesn't want to stamp. I will just check the stamp in a minute and make sure I haven't got anything on it. Okay, again we've got that line, but we can live with that. And then we just need a section on the end just to finish our piece. Now it's the first time I've done this with this stamp, so I'm just trying to line it up. So this is a bit of an experiment going on. Okay, yeah, so we've sort of covered it up on the end. So I'm just going to move my Mossy Meadow ink out of the way, and I'll move that out of the way. Okay, so we haven't finished with this. So yes, we've got a couple of lines, but we can live with that. Okay, so the other stamp set that I've got out that I wanted to bring in is this Trucking Along stamp set. It's an online exclusive, and there is a punch that goes with it to cut out the truck. This time it's a photopolymer stamp set, so where I'm stamping I will need to have a stamp mat underneath. So first of all, I want to do the truck. Just grabbing some blocks. If you can hear that noise, that's the blocks rattling around in a tin. Okay, so grab some blocks. These little blocks here are the ones that come in our kits, and they're absolutely great. Once you've finished the kit, you get blocks, and in the stamping kits you end up with blocks and a mini stamping spot. Right, we don't want pine trees. I want the Christmas tree. So basically there are lots of stamps. I think it's that one. There are lots of stamps in this set. You can see that you can put things in the back of the truck. Just trying to work out which ones are which. Let's try putting that on there, which will give me a better idea. Have I got the one I wanted? Yes, I have. Okay, so that's our Christmas tree. And then the other one I wanted was the stack of presents, which is this one here. Now, the other thing about this stamp set, if I show you the front again, you've got some fill-in stamps as well. So you can have just the edge, the outline of the stamp. If you do want to stamp it and fill it in, you've got fill-in stamps. So, for instance, that tree I've just pulled out, that's the line version and that's the fill-in. Same with the presents. That's the presents and that's the fill-in. So I also want to grab the fill-in stamp. Okay, so that's that one to go with the pine tree, and then I want the one that fills the presents in, which is that one. Now, when I'm doing two-step stamping, I tend to put one on one side of the block and one on the other, and just so I know where they are. Okay, so again, that's our pine tree, and that's the other. That's the line end. Okay, and then just stand your blocks on their sides, and then they tend not to stick them to the pieces. Okay, right, I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap white. These kind of things are a good opportunity to use up all your little scrap pieces. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to stamp the truck. Now, I'm going to stamp that in basic grey. Okay. There we go. And you'll notice on the punch, you get the actual truck shape, which is the image I've just stamped. But you then get the wheel arches, the wheels, and the cab window. If you want to stamp those out in different colours. I'm not actually going to fill mine in because I want mine to be a light colour. So I'm going to sponge over mine in a minute. Although actually I could fill it in. No, I'm going to leave it. And then obviously for the presents, there isn't a die or anything for these, so I am going to have to hand cut these. So I think what we're going to do is stamp the outline of those. I tend to stamp the outline in basic grey rather than black, because I find black is quite black, basically, and I prefer the... Oh, I've just stamped the wrong one. Stamp the infill. Let's try that again. So there's our pile of presents. Now you could colour those in. You could use the stamp to fill them in, and I'm going to do that. I just want a little pop of colour, so I'm going to grab a red. Go for real red. And hopefully I can line it up to fill it in. No guarantees, guys. And trying not to get my head in the camera. Right, I'm just going to have to pull that back out of shot for a minute, just to try and line it up. Did I do it? No, I missed. Okay. I really did miss. Okay, let's try that again. Stamp that off. Let's bring in our line one again. It's really difficult when you're filming. I really need to have my head sort of here. I'm just really not very good at doing this kind of thing. All right, let's try that again. Oh, that's better. That's better. Okay, I can live with that. And then we will bring back in our Mossy Meadow, because I haven't decided yet which one's going to go in the boot of the car, boot of the truck. So we'll bring back in our Mossy Meadow for the tree. Oops. There. Okay, so we've got our tree and we've got our pile of presents. Okay. I'm just going to close up all my ink pads because I know how messy I am. Okay, let's move those out of the way. I'll clean those in a bit. Okay, so as I said, the presents in the tree are going to have to be hand cut. So I'm just going to chop those out. That was the better one, wasn't it? Okay, now a little tip when you're punching out items like this, you don't want to cut it right down to a small piece of paper, because if you do, sorry, I'm just bringing you down a little bit. If you do, what will happen is you'll be trying to push around a piece of card inside the punch. So it's always a better idea to leave yourself a handle. Now, if you find that you end up with a little piece of cardstock, use a scrap piece just to attach to the back of it, and then when you punch it, that will automatically get punched away. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so let's try and line up the truck. Sometimes it's easier said than done lining these things up. While you've got them in the punch and you think they're in the right place, you can squeeze slightly just to hold the punch. Now I can see that's too far back, so that's going to take the back off the cab. There we go. Okay. That's punched just some of the other bits out. Okay. Let's just get rid of those little pieces we don't need there. Okay, so we've punched our truck out. Okay, now if you wanted to punch a lot of these, and you wanted to use something like a stamping platform, what you could do is then use this piece of card that you've punched one out of to line it up to stamp it in the same place each time. Okay, so which means you could punch them out first. So I've punched one out. You could put this in your stamping platform, punch out a load of these plain, fit it back in, and then stamp it, providing you get your stamping platform in the right place. Okay, right, let's get rid of that because we're done with that. Okay, and we're done with that for now. Right, let's start sorting this out. So when I said I didn't need to worry too much about the fact that we've got some lines, that's because we're going to blend over it. So I'm just grabbing a blending brush. Always a nightmare when you tidy up. Okay, let's get start off with a clean one. It's always good. And let's wash. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up some of our Mossy Meadow ink, and then starting off the corner, I'm just going to blend along with my brush. Now we don't want to completely obliterate the image, but what we do want to do is take off the harsh white corners or harsh white edges. So I'm just going around the edges. Always start off your paper on your scrap paper. That way you won't get splodges. And as I said, I'm just going around those edges. Now what we're going to do is fill in. We've got quite a lot of white space in the back, which is fine, but I don't really want that on this card. So I'm just going to fill in just very light coating of green just to take some of that off. Please excuse the jangling of my bangles. Okay, I've just got a bit there. And this is why I said it didn't really matter too much about where we'd got some patches. Okay, right, so that will do for that. Okay, so we've got our truck, we've got our presents. I just need to quickly fussy cut our tree and our presents. So I'm just going to use my snips because I haven't decided yet whether I want presents in the back or the tree. I think my part of me is saying tree in the back, presents on the ground. Little elements like this are always good for covering up if you've had any little stamping blips. Okay, so that's our tree. And let's just fussy cut out these presents. That could have been a better lineup. Sorry about that, guys. If you just got a notification pop up in the top corner, I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode. Okay, so that's that. Okay. Right. Now what we need to do, you can see they're quite quick and easy to fussy cut out those little pieces. Now what we need to do is put our card together. Now ordinarily I would stick our base card together first. But I'm not going to do that. No, sorry, take that back. Ordinarily, I would cut this out and stick this all on first. But rather than get in a muddle with where things have got to go, what we're going to do is put our card together and then we can lay it flat to stick the panels on. So I've just got some Tombow, whichever sticky medium is your preferred one. And then what we need to do, this card is going to fold in half. So we've got one panel is going to be at the back, one at the front, one at the side. Okay, so what we're going to do is fold it 2 panels up and the flap like that. Let's hope I haven't put too much glue on. Okay, give it a minute to catch. And then that makes our pyramid. No, it's not a pyramid at all, is it? That makes our tower. Okay, and then you can see that folds down flat to go in the post. So now what we need to do is to cut this to make our panels, which are going to go there, there, there and there. And you can see why I said not to cut this down, because we want this in order. So our panels of our tower are 4.5 centimetres wide. So what we're going to do is cut our cardstock down to 4 centimetres. So it's already the right height at 10 centimetres. So that one's going to go there, like that. So we need 3 at 4 centimetres. Now when I'm making cards like this, I find it best to lay them out in the order that they were stamped in and that you're going to stick them on in. Okay, so that's section 2 and 3. This is section 1. So we're going to stick this on here. If you'd already pre-cut these and were trying to stick them on flat, then you'd be trying to work out which section went where. And if you're good with that, then that's fine, then do that. But if you're not so good with that, then this is, I've found the easier way. Okay, so we're going to stick that on there. And then our next section will go next to that, because we want our picture to flow across the card. You can, of course, use designer series paper for this. If you've got some that flows across and you prefer not to do the stamping, but I just liked the idea of having the trees. Doing very well with the glue today. Seems to be getting way too much glue. Okay, and then our third, yeah, this is what happens if you have too much glue. Our third section is going to go there. Now, I know we've got the line on that one, but that one is going to be there when the card is up, so it isn't going to show as much. If you use smaller stamps, then it's a bit easier to control it along, but I really wanted to use this Fragrant Forest stamp set. Okay. Oh, goodness me, I'm really doing a bad job at getting way too much glue on everything. Okay, and then this last section is going to fit onto the bit that isn't a pillar. So I'm just going to put some glue on that. Okay. So that section then fits on here like that. Okay, so that's our panel that we stamped, going around the three sides of the pillar and onto the extra part of the card. Now we've got our little truck. And what I want to do is have him looking like he's driving along the pillar. So the easiest way to do that is to, and this is the important bit, only put adhesive or dimensionals or whatever you're using on the section that is going to go on to the card. So if my truck goes there, I only need adhesive on this back half, but you do need to make sure when you fold it down flat that whatever you've put on there isn't hanging over, especially if it's something larger. So I'm just going to grab some dimensionals. I think I've just finished a sheet, so I need to start a new sheet. These are the standard size dimensionals, but you can use whatever you've got. I'm just going to stick a couple on the back. Now, if you were going to colour this in, obviously you would need to colour it in before you put your dimensionals on, but I want mine to be a white truck. Actually, do you know what? I think we're just going to... No, we're not. We're going to leave that white. I'm just taking the dimensionals off the back, and then that's going to go to look like he's driving along the road there. And I've done exactly what I told you not to do, and I've put a dimensional on the front of the truck. So let's take that off. I've had a rotten cold and it seems to be affecting my brain capacity. There we go. So I've just pulled that dimensional off, and then we need our tree, which we're going to put in the back of the truck. So again, I'm flattening the truck down, and that's got a dimensional on the back as well. So that just sits in there, so it looks like the truck's carrying a Christmas tree. And then I just wanted our little pile of parcels. Oh, sorry guys, my fingers are really sticky. I wanted our little pile of parcels just to tuck somewhere, or not. I haven't decided yet. I might stand those. Yeah, I think we'll do that. We'll stand those in front of the truck. So we're just going to grab another dimensional to fit on the back of the parcels. And we're going to stand those just there in front of the truck. Okay, and then it's up to you where you put a greeting. You can put a panel on the back, stamp a greeting and write your greeting on there. Or if you want to have a greeting on the front, which I'd like to on this card, I'm going to put one there. So I did pick up another piece of scrap white. And let's have a look at our sentiments. The one thing that the people at Stampin' Up have done with this is they've given you lots of options. So you have got palm trees, as well as Christmas trees for anybody on the other side of the world who's celebrating Christmas. But then you have also got flowers and trees, little sides for your truck, which will make this a useful set all year round. So I think we're going to go with special delivery. So let's just grab that out of there. Are we going to go with special delivery? No, wishing you a festive Christmas we're going to go with. This is the first chance I've had to play with this set, so everything's really sticky still. Okay, sending you a festive Christmas. And we're going to stamp that in red, I think, to coordinate with the presents. Now, the only thing I have found with photopolymer is that they sometimes don't give you a good impression the first time you use it. So it's always a good... Yeah, that is actually fine. It's always a good idea just to test it out on a scrap first. Okay. Now, I could have stamped directly onto there, but the fact that that's green and this is red will muddy it a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my trimmer in. I'm just going to move that card to one side for now. I'm going to bring my trimmer in. I'm just going to slice this off. There, like that. And then that will give me the opportunity to cut the end. So I can either cut the end at a slant, I could cut a flag into the end. Yeah. So when you cut a flag in, if you cut up the middle first and then cut diagonally from each point to where you've cut to, and you will always get a balanced flag, unless you're really off the middle. You can see I've just eyeballed that, and that's not too bad. Okay. You can also see, this is just another little tip, I needed to change the blade on my trimmer, and it's left, when I've cut this piece of cardstock, it's left a little mark. If you sort of a raised edge, if you just go across it with your bone folder, that will smooth out that edge. There we go. You see, that's gone now. There was an edge along there where I'd cut, but that's now gone. Right, I'm just wondering if that needs a little bit of ink on it. And if so, what colour to use? I think we might just go with a little tiny bit of green around the edge, but not all over like we did on the other panel. I'm literally just going to go just around the edges, just to take the whiteness off. Okay, that'll do. Sometimes you have to be a little bit careful when you're putting white against a darker background, because it can make it look very stark. Okay, and we're just going to put a couple of dimensionals on the back of our greeting. Now, this was the area where it didn't stamp properly, so that's a perfect place to put our greeting. Oh, dimensionals attached. Perfect place to put our greeting to cover up where that tree didn't stamp properly there. Try and get it level is always good. Okay, now the other place we didn't get the tree to stamp properly was there. And I think we're just going to have to live with that, to be perfectly honest. We've covered one of them up. It didn't stamp properly there. I'm just having a look in the stamp set to see if there's anything we could cover that up with. No, I mean, I did consider using the tree stamp, just the detail, just to cover that up. But I think actually that's going to make it look even more obvious. So we're going to leave that. Okay, so there's our pillar card. Got our little truck on there with his pile of presents and his tree in the boot. As I said, on this punch there are mud guards here that we could punch out. There are circles for the wheels if we want to do those in a different colour, and there is the little windscreen, but I'm quite happy with mine being a white truck today. I hope you like the card, and I hope you'll give it a try. And just going to bring back in that other card that I showed you initially. As I said, this one is using the Very Cute, and I've added some gems and bits and pieces to that. And actually that's a good way of covering that up, is to add some snowflakes. I've got some snowflake sequins, so I'll probably add a few snowflakes on there just to cover that up. And there we are. So 2 pillar cards. I hope you like the cards and I hope you'll give it a try. And if you do, drop me a line and let me know how you get on. Any questions, please also get in touch and I'll see if I can help you wherever I can. Thanks for watching and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks. Bye for now.